வணக்கம் நேயர்களே, இன்றைக்கு நாம் சமூக போராளி மேதா பட்கர் அவர்களோடு உரையாட இருக்கிறோம். இது திடீரென்று ஏற்பாடான ஒரு சந்திப்பு. ஆனால் அவர்கள் விமான நிலையத்துக்கு போகிற வழியிலேயே இந்த பேட்டி நிகழ்கிறது. இதற்கு ஒப்புக்கொண்டிருக்க அவர்களுக்கு நன்றி தெரிவிக்கிறோம். மேதாஜி, thanks for accepting to do this interview while you are in a hurry to the airport. And my purpose of the interview is not to really talk about current issues, because we are all aware of your positions, stands on these issues, and you have been very articulate on them. And see, now it's 40 years of your activism, almost. Incidentally, you and I were born in the same year. I am 11 months older. Okay. And so it's 40 years of activism for you. What really inspired you as a teenager to choose this path of life?
You say it is obvious when you come from a family of a freedom fighter. Both mother and father were engaged into the social activism, while she was the main bread earner. And I used to observe the meetings of the laborers inside that small house of 15 by 20 feet. And I used to also watch him campaigning during elections, winning sometimes, losing sometimes, due to the casteism, due to the favoritism and so on, that you feel that the change must come in. And they were always promoting and also sometimes instigating me against anything in the lifestyle, like ironing the clothes for going to school. They said, oh, you want the clothes to be ironed, then how can you bring in change in the society? I remember all that.
They made you lead a simple life.
Yes, and also elocution, debate competitions where I had to go through a lot of readings and really, be clear about ideologies. That really helped me a lot. And then when I started working in the urban slum areas first, the inequity was so stark.
Did you have siblings? Did you have siblings, or you were the only child?
No. I have one younger brother, younger to me. And he is an established architect and professional, but very sympathetic to all the causes. And it is very necessary to really experience directly with the slum dwellers or the rural or the Adivasis. And that experience really gives you motivation and really makes you be perseverant with the causes, and not have just the glamorous idea of social change or transformation or radicalism or social activism.
So you mean to say that during the struggle there will be several ups and downs. Sometimes you succeed, sometimes you lose.
Yes.
And how do you feel when you lose?
You feel little frustrated, but then you also feel angry, and you feel that if it is a systemic reason and the causes are systemic, then you have to further go into the depth, and with greater integrity and better strategization, only you can win the battle. And the people really give you support at that moment. I remember when we had the 2000 judgment in our hands from the Supreme Court of India, we really could not think of proceeding further, and we thought that the battle was lost, and we even wept during the press conference. But when I reached the valley back and the women's gathering was there, they literally welcome us, the activists who were coming straight from the court, and said that that the Supreme Court gave the permission and clearance for the project to be constructed further. We have not given the clearance, and it's up to us. And that was 2000, and today is 2017. The people have stayed put, even when the Supreme Court gave a very, very imbalanced judgment, gifting them with cash package of 60 lakhs per farmer, but also asking them to leave without the full and fair rehabilitation of the landless and even of the landed taking place. Then the women's power, the farmers' power, the fish workers' power, all of them coming together again just last year said no to bowing down to the apex court, and the thousands of police who were brought into the Narmada Valley had to return back just through the non-violent struggle. So I think we really are given.
The point is that people's solidarity is very inspiring. But ultimately in our system, you don't get political power unless you are part of an electoral system. And doesn't that frustrate you?
No, for us, political doesn't mean only electoral political. Political means
But only they have the ultimate power.
the process of various sections of populations coming together. The politics means setting the relationships between the power holders and the common people right. And with all of that as our vision, we consider our movements not as apolitical but political. And we have seen in this country, that if the constitutional rights are to be reflected in the laws, if the directive principles are to be followed in every decision and action of the state, then it is necessary that you work down to earth. You don't rely on just WhatsApps. You have to see what's down. And you work with those toiling sections, those oppressed sections who really have to be together and take a position that we are one and we are a majority, and when the minority is expropriating, the expropriators must be expropriated. And the vision has to be socio-cultural, economic and political, and that doesn't come with the political parties who are always compromising. And when they raise the issues inside the assembly, they don't even get the truthful answers. And ultimately, they have to somewhere, come out on the streets and take up the real issues. Whether it is Mamata Banerjee sitting on the streets, although she was a leader of the opposition for the Singur land struggle, or whether it is the, Sharad Yadav sitting on the streets, or even Arvind Kejriwal not being able to do many things, Kuldeep Nair, like persons who were in the Rajya Sabha but couldn't really get one enactment progressed because the reactionary forces, the rightist forces really kill progressivism there, and there it is the voting percentage that matters, so they can easily do that.
But how was your own electoral experience?
It was fantastic. Last 2 days and nights everything got changed. I selected that constituency in spite of 4 lakh Gujaratis being mesmerized with the Narmada project and Modi's coming to power. And yet I selected that because I had worked in the slum communities in 2 major pockets in that constituency, and thinking that they would surely vote for me, I took up the challenge, and we did not put up any big banners or posters with my photographs. We covered the whole constituency on foot. Now many people said that was foolish, ye pagalpan tha, you could not and you cannot win ever with this kind of strategies. Today money market matters, but I think it was a good experience when we saw that the EVM machine seal was lying outside, and we complained but nothing happened. We saw that the actual expenditure made by my major up to opponents was in crores, but they underestimated it and somehow managed, and the campaign did not work. And we spent mostly on the voluntary contributions, voluntary vehicles, voluntary services, but those were evaluated and the amount put as if I had spent that amount. So these all things which really suggest that electoral reforms are a must. Funding must come from the state, and the prachar yantrana, the propaganda during elections must be from common dais where the manifestos and
be a
the
level
promises
playing
are.
field. Yeah.
It has to be a level playing field.
I also contested the same election
Okay.
on Aam Aadmi ticket.
Okay.
And
I
had a similar
also found
experience.
that the party did not have that in-depth
It didn't have that muscle
understanding.
also.
Yes. So it was
But,
not worth continuing.
But with the last 40 years experience, what would you tell teenage girls today? Would you ask them to become activists like you, or would you ask them to go into the bureaucracy, become sympathetic to people's causes, or would you ask them to go to media and be people friendly in the media? Where would you advise them to go to?
See, activism is not just the kind of work that we are doing. I feel there is a role clearly for activist lawyers, activist journalists, activist writers like yourself, activist media persons, and also now activist judges. And they have to play the role with respect to whatever pillar of democracy they hold on to. So the young girls must come out against the women's atrocities as they did during the Nirbhaya Andolan, but they are to be more spirited, to go beyond the immediate career and the the earning potential that many of the students look forward to. And the women, the girls who can gather the women's power can play a better role because they can reach the chulhas. They need not remain outside the houses, and they have the creativity as all women have. They have the perseverance as all women have. So I think these are the qualities which really help the women coming forward and taking leadership. Look up to any issue reaching its logical end and linking the issue with the right to life, right to livelihood, which are the women's strength.
But you narrated your own experience where your family was a real inspiration when you were growing up. But for most of these youngsters today, family is only telling them to only take care of themselves. So how do they handle this?
You see, the families have their own influence. Sometimes the family influences in the right direction as we see it, and the rest of the society really mesmerizes them with consumerism, and vice versa. So I think if we catch the individuals at the right age, at least at the adolescent age, I think we can build those capacities and those visions amongst the youngsters, and there is no alternative to this.
And how do you handle your own personal time besides activist work? How do you de-stress yourself from stress? How do you de-stress yourself?
I don't try.
You don't have a hobby?
No, I don't have the retreats like some have, and I don't.
No, like hobbies?
Hobbies means I write poetry. I enjoy whenever I am in the Adivasi community, sometimes celebrate Holi. Even the mass actions we have in a way taken like celebrations. When we
so
see
they don't stress us at all.
No, with the fasting for 17 days, all the thousands of women sitting there overnight till midnight and even beyond that, and facing the weapons brought by police in thousands, standing up with the children and the youths, and compelling the police to go back. The women inside the jail with whom I stayed for 15 days, 53 stories of those who were facing Section 302. That was also an experience, Wherever you go, you have a fascinating experience of people who are honest, who are peace-loving, who are, not to be called secular or non-secular, but they are for life and peace. And that really makes you feel confident and hopeful. You need not be pessimistic, because when they who are suffering also take up these struggles where they have to put whole of their life, not just the income, at stake, you have to be optimistic. How can you be pessimistic, And if you think of your own frustrations and moods and what am I feeling now and what have I lost and all, then you better not be a social activist, You have to all the time empathize and sympathize with the people and look at everything from their point of view, whether you suffer or you don't.
So looking at the Modi kind of politics, what do you think is the way out of it?
The way out is to appeal to the conscience of the people, who are really religious and not really, fascist. The way out is also to take the next generation with us, and the way out is certainly to stand up and speak out. Whether it is the R.B. Sri Kumar who wrote Gujarat Behind the Curtain, and all those who are saying things plainly against communal, against fascist forces, looking at the killings of Junaid, of Pehlu Khan, of Ashfaq and Akhlaq, and also the Mohsin or Dabholkar, Kalburgi and Pansare. We know who they are, whether the inquiry takes place or not. we should look at who are the culprits and take a position. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Medha.